Welcome back to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. The governor of New Jersey has come out against Common Core and saying it's not going to exist in the state of New Jersey, at least for the time being. Wendell Steinahauer is president of the New Jersey Education Association. What do you make? There's no other way to describe this except as a flip-flop, because he was for Common Core just a few years ago, and now he's against it. What do you make of this?
Well, Governor Christie New Jersey was one of the first states to adopt the Common Core back in 2010, which Governor Christie was the governor at that time, supported it, everything was fine, moving forward with it. We had trouble with the implementation schedule. You know, you can create standards, and quite honestly, New Jersey has had standards since the early 90s. Common Core is just the latest version of an upgrade of standards. So what happened here was that the implementation time is the problem. And we haven't had the resources, haven't had the time given to create the curriculum. Standards are easy. Creating a test is easy. The in-between part with the curriculum is the tough part. And so now, while we have been working on this curriculum to get it set for the first testing, which was the park this year, which was a complete debacle if you've watched the last 2 months of that. Right. Now, after all that, he says, I'm pulling out of the Common Core, which are the standards that were all driven towards this test, but I'm going to keep the test for the next 4 years. It makes no sense at all. Why, you asked why he did it? I see it as he's running for president of the United States. His national base is all against the Common Core. He has to align to that.
So this is purely for political reasons. So you would think this is a precursor to him announcing he's going to run for president?
Well,
because why else would he do it, right?
He seems to be making all the moves to run for president. When he announces, that's your guess is as good as mine.
No, but I mean, a reasonable person would say, unless he was going to run, he didn't have to do this.
True. He's lining all the ducks up to be ready for it.
Because there is a conservative pushback against Common Core across the country, mostly because they believe that the federal government shouldn't be involved in their children's education.
Absolutely, and that's what the governor said yesterday. He said he wants to actually improve on these standards and make them more New Jersey centric, where neighborhoods and local control will rule the day on it.
So you had these parent groups that came out against Common Core and parent groups that came out against Park, mainly because Park was connected to Common Core, or was the test to see if it was being taught correctly was what we were told.
There's a couple groups there. Yes, there are parents that were against Common Core, and I think there are some of those, there are parents that are for Common Core. But I think some of those groups united against Park. Not so much that it was aligned to the Common Core, but it was such an onerous test. As a flawed test. It's an untested test. Usually a field test, a test for like that, they just put it in. And it changed to become an online test, which created a lot of technological problems. So.
Yeah, but at its root, at its reasoning, it does make sense that if you're going to introduce a new curriculum, you should have testing that tests to see if that curriculum is being learned and is being taught correctly. Yeah. Now you don't have the curriculum.
Right. Well,
but you still have the test.
Well, what we have is the Common Core standards. They'll be in place till the end of this year, because that's when he said he wanted to have it changed. You have the curriculum that has been created mostly by teachers over the past 4 years, aligning to this test, and they're saying, all that work you've done for the last 4 years, don't worry about it. You can start again once we get these new standards in January of 2016. You can start that process all over again.
So there's, at this point, you would think that there is some confusion. Like, what are you going to teach next year? What is the curriculum going to be? If it's not going to be Common Core, what is it going to be? And is Park going to go away next year? Because if you're not going to teach the curriculum based on the test, why have the test?
Well, that's where all the confusion comes in. So if everything stays in line and there are new standards, and the one bright area here is he said he wanted to involve teachers in these new standards. That's a welcome relief finally, that the people that actually do the work and do the teaching day in, day out would actually have the input on the standards and know what they're working on, and then to create the curriculum. it's a mismatch all over the place. And the governor said that he is not going to stop implementing the park because it's tied to federal funding. Well, a lot of states have said, you know what, we're going to create our own standards and we're going to create a test for that and move on, and they collect money from the federal government too. So there's kind of, that's why there's some, this is political. It's all political. If you're trying to make sense out of it, you're not going to do it. If you just understand it's political, then it makes
Let me try to make
sense.
a little bit of sense of what could happen then.
Yeah.
So let's say it is all political, and we'll be very cynical and say he's just doing it to run for president. And his candidacy for presidency does not take off. And so early next year, it's the Christie is not running for president anymore.
We'll know by August
Does Common Core come back?
2016. I don't think he would flip twice on that. I think he would just stay that course. And quite honestly, if he's not the nominee next summer, then he has to spend his days out in New Jersey for another year and a half. So maybe with these new standards, and we're not opposed to the making new standards. If you want to make new standards, fine. But let's do it the correct way. Let's do the standards. Let's spend a couple years creating the curriculum and then take a test. Take tests that teachers have made on that curriculum and then align that in a standardized test. If you want to have a standardized test, make it a good one. And then that's probably a 3 to 4 year process. He doesn't have that long in New Jersey.
Yeah, so even though you might question his reasons for doing this, you think that the end result could be something good?
The end result, if they do it correctly, yes, because they certainly didn't do it correctly with Common Core. They had mismatched tests to that. We've spent 4 years doing that. And then finally, we have Common Core, a curriculum teachers worked on, and they're giving a test. Not that I'm a fan of that test. I think there could be a much better test. But at least everything was starting to line up. Now it's gone again.
Great. Wendell, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here to talk
Larry.
to us. Wendell Steinahauer, president of the New Jersey Education Association. When we come back, there is a special sports club in New Jersey that has existed for 25 years, and now they want to take their noble idea national. We'll talk more about that when we come right back.